You know, we hear all the time that AI is this global revolution, but what if that revolution only speaks two languages? Today, we're diving into the story of a project called Solar Open and how it's trying to tackle one of AI's biggest challenges, to build a future where this tech is truly for everyone.
And that really is the central question, isn't it? Because right now, the answer isn't a simple yes. We think of AI as this world-changing technology, but we have to step back and ask, is it actually serving the whole world?
And here's the reality check. The scales are tipped, and they're tipped heavily. The most powerful, most advanced AI models out there are overwhelmingly fluent in just English and Chinese. This isn't some small bias, it's a massive structural imbalance that could leave most of the world on the sidelines.
And this gets us right to the heart of it, what we can call AI's big language problem. It's a fundamental challenge that really questions the promise of this technology. Because when AI only speaks a couple of languages really well, it creates a whole new kind of digital divide. It's pushing entire communities, cultures, and their economies to the wrong side of this technological frontier, all because their language just wasn't a priority.
So, to make this feel a bit more real, let's zoom in on a specific case. A team at Upstage decided to tackle this problem head-on, and they focused on the Korean language, which is a perfect example of a language that's digitally vibrant but totally underserved by AI.
And here's exactly why it's such a tough nut to crack. Get this, even though 80 million people speak Korean, it makes up just a tiny fraction, 0.8%, of all the content on the indexed web. Just for comparison, English is over 50%. When you're training an AI, data is literally the food it eats. So what do you do when the pantry's almost empty?
And it's not just about how much data you have, it's about how the AI actually reads it. And that's where something called a tokenizer comes in. Think of it like this. It's how an AI learns to see words. A tokenizer that was built for English is just going to stumble over Korean, breaking words into clunky, meaningless pieces. It's super inefficient. A good custom-built tokenizer, on the other hand, reads fluently because it actually understands the language's structure. Getting this right is absolutely critical.
So you're facing these massive hurdles, right? Not enough data, and the existing tools can't even read the language properly. Well, the team came up with a really brilliant three-part solution to fix it.
Here's the game plan, and it's so smart. First, if the data you need doesn't exist, just create it. Second, don't just dump all that data on the model at once. Teach it with a smart step-by-step curriculum. And third, build the model efficiently, using an architecture that works kind of like a team of specialists.
Okay, let's talk about that first step, creating data. And we are not talking about a small amount here. The team synthetically generated 4.5 trillion tokens of high-quality data. To try and put that into perspective, that's thousands of times bigger than the entire English Wikipedia. It's like if you can't find the library you need, you just go out and build a bigger, better one from scratch.
Now, this curriculum part is just so clever. They didn't start with perfect, pristine data. No, they started with a huge, diverse, even noisy data set just to build a broad foundation of knowledge. Then, they progressively refined it, making the data cleaner and higher quality. And finally, they focused on only the absolute best, most culturally specific content. It's kind of like going from skimming the entire internet to intensely studying a curated set of encyclopedias. And that third step, the architecture, is just genius. Solar Open uses a technique called mixture of experts, or MoE. Now, instead of one giant AI brain trying to be a generalist at everything, an MoE model is more like a team of specialists. When a question comes in, the system routes it to the right expert for that specific job. This makes everything so much more efficient, both for training and for performance.
So, after all this incredible work, making data from scratch, designing a smart curriculum, using a specialized architecture, what did they actually build?
Well, the result is Solar Open. It's a huge 102 billion parameter model, which puts it right up there with some of the heavy hitters in the field. But here's the cool part. Because of that mixture of experts design, it only uses about 12 billion of those parameters for any single task, making it incredibly fast and efficient. And most importantly, it was built from the ground up to be a true bilingual in both Korean and English.
All right, let's see the proof. Remember that custom tokenizer we talked about? Well, look at this. You can see right here that for Korean text, it is way more efficient than the tokenizers used in those big global models. This means it can literally read Korean faster and way more intelligently.
And this isn't just some advantage in a lab. Nope. This efficiency holds up in the real world, in actual conversations. On real chat data, Solar Open's tokenizer keeps its lead, which translates to faster, smarter responses, and a much deeper understanding of what a user is actually trying to say.
Okay, being efficient is one thing, but is it actually smarter? Well, this chart here shows a direct head-to-head competition on a test of Korean general knowledge. You can see Solar Open's score on the left, almost at 80, just blowing past a comparable global model. It doesn't just read Korean better, it flat out understands Korean better.
And this is where the story gets really, really exciting. Because the success of Solar Open isn't just a win for one language. It's pointing towards something much, much bigger, a blueprint for a truly global AI.
The real key takeaway here is that the methodology is the true innovation. The model is amazing, sure, but the process, generating data, using a smart curriculum, and leveraging these efficient architectures, that's a strategy you can repeat. This is a blueprint for democratizing AI and bringing it to any language. The researchers behind the whole project really said it best. The approach applies to any language lacking sufficient training data and frontier quality models. This wasn't some one-off trick. It's a foundational strategy for any language that's been left behind by the AI boom.
And that leaves us with one final, very exciting question. We've seen the proof, we have the blueprint. So which language is going to be next? The possibilities, for the first time, are wide open.